If you've ever been underestimated, belittled, or made to feel small by people who think wealth equals worth, then hit that like button and subscribe. What you're about to hear is more than just a revenge story. It's a testament to character over currency, integrity over image, and the price of silence when your voice matters most. Today we're diving deep into the wedding disaster that became Portland's most talked about scandal, the billion-dollar secret that changed everything, and the complicated aftermath of justice served cold. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. Let's begin. Jessica, the event coordinator, appeared at my elbow with a tablet. Just need your signature on the final walkthrough checklist. Her smile was professional, practiced, but I caught the flicker of sympathy in her eyes as she glanced at my modest suit, the same one I'd worn to Oiley's college graduation last year. From Ross Dress for Less, yes, but it was clean, pressed, and comfortable. I'd never seen the point in expensive clothes when that money could go towards something more meaningful, like my children's futures, or in this case, my son's $127,000 wedding that I was secretly funding while the Colemans took all the credit. I signed where she indicated, the pen scratching against the tablet surface. Everything looks perfect, Jessica. Thank you for handling all the details. She nodded, her smile softening slightly. Of course, Mr. Bennett. We're honored to host such a special celebration here at Kennedy's school. He paused, then added quietly, for what it's worth. I think your son is lucky to have a father who cares so much. Before I could respond, Horatio's voice boomed across the venue like he owned not just the room but the very concept of sound itself. Orville, there you are. We were just telling the florist about the budget constraints. You know how it is with limited resources. My hands tightened around my coffee cup. The ceramic was warm against my palms, a small comfort in a room that suddenly felt cold. Coffee sloshed but didn't spill. I forced a smile and turned slowly, deliberately, giving myself a moment to prepare my expression. Horatio Coleman filled the doorway like he owned it. Tailored suit, probably Armani, or something equally expensive. Gold watch catching the light, a Rolex naturally. That practiced expression of concern that never reached his eyes. It's a kind that says I care about you while really saying I'm better than you. Bula tittered beside him, a sound like breaking glass. Horatio, be nice. I'm sure Orville is doing his best. Her eyes swept over my suit with open disdain. That suit is very vintage. It's from last year, isn't it? Ross Dress for Less had a good sale last year, didn't they? Rosalind appeared beside her mother, phone in one hand, designer purse in the other. The purse probably cost more than my car. She smirked, adjusting it on the table like it might get contaminated by proximity to my coffee cup. Well, when you put it that way, Mom, you make it sound like Dad's being mean instead of honest. I set down my coffee carefully, the ceramic making a soft sound against the polished wood. The venue looks great. Thank goodness for people who understand quality, Horatio said, checking his watch. At least I assumed it was a Rolex. It was so shiny it could have been from a cereal box. He sighed dramatically. So much to coordinate, so little help from certain quarters. Tobias trailed in behind them, eyes glued to his phone like it held the secrets of the universe. My son, 35 years old, couldn't look at me. Your son's lucky Rosalind's family could step up, Horatio clapped Tobias on the shoulder. Make this wedding actually memorable, Tobias laughed. Not a real laugh. That nervous sound he made when he was uncomfortable but too weak to speak up. Yeah, I mean without you guys, He trailed off, glancing at me for half a second, then back at his phone. Right, exactly. I picked up the father-son photo from the display, the one where I was teaching him to ride a bike. He must have been 6. I'd spent 3 hours running beside him that day, hands ready to catch him, promising I'd always be there. The memory was so vivid, the summer heat, the scrape on his knee when he fell, the way his face lit up when he finally balanced on his own. You can do it, Toby, I'd said. I've got you, Dad. Did you remember to get your suit pressed? Tobias asked, not looking up from his phone. Rosalind's photographer is really particular about not having poor people ruin the aesthetic. Rosalind's laugh tinkled like breaking glass. Well, when you put it that way, ... She exchanged a look with her mother. I was joking. Were you, though? I asked quietly. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I set the photo down carefully, thumb rubbing once over young Tobias's face. The message lit up my screen. Jessica, Cascade Celebrations. Mr. Bennett confirming final payment, $127,000. Vendors need deposit release authorization. Across the room, Tobias was laughing at something Horatio said. Something about parents who can't even afford decent wedding gifts. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. The way he avoided my eyes, the way he leaned toward Horatio like a plant bending toward the sun, the way he'd chosen them. 30 years ago, I'd held him up on that bike. Made him promises, built a business so he'd never struggle. Sent him to college, paid off his student loans, bought his first car, and here he stood laughing at jokes about his poor father. Asterisk, my finger hovered over the screen. Orville, be a dear and move those chairs. Bula gestured vaguely. The photographer needs the space clear. I typed back. Standby. May have changes. Jessica appeared again, professional smile in place. Mr. Bennett, the lighting crew wants to confirm the uplighting color scheme you selected. Mr. Bennett. Rosalind's voice dripped mockery. Jessica, honey. You mean Mr. Coleman? He's paying for all this. Jessica's smile didn't waver. Of course. My apologies. But she looked at me, not Horatio. The florist bustled past with another massive arrangement. More lilies, more money, more proof that the Colemans, who I knew for a fact were drowning in debt, were willing to take credit for everything. So Orville Horatio moved closer. You'll be at the ceremony, of course. We reserved a seat for you in the back. Didn't want you to feel on display. How thoughtful. Well, we understand your situation, Bula nodded. Limited means it's nothing to be ashamed of. Horatio's hand landed on my shoulder, heavy, condescending. Not everyone can be successful. My mother always said, you can't help where you come from, Bula added. Rosalind was recording now. Phone up, capturing this moment for whatever social media she'd post it to. This is so authentic. Real family dynamics. Tobias cleared his throat. Dad, maybe you should... Should what? I asked. He looked away. Nothing. Never mind. My son, the bike, the promises, the college fund, every birthday, every Christmas, every moment I'd been there. And here now this. Actually, I said slowly, I should probably check on a few things. Check on what? Horatio laughed. You're not exactly in charge of anything. I pulled out my phone again, looked at Jessica's message. Looked at my son, at Horatio, at Beulah, at Rosalind with her recording phone. My thumb hovered. This was the moment. The point of no return. 30 years of fatherhood reduced to this choice? Walk away? Or end it all now? Orville Jessica appeared again. Do you need anything? Just a minute. Asterisk Tobias laughed loudly at another of Horatio's jokes. Something about fathers who contribute nothing. The sound echoed in the converted schoolhouse in my chest, in the hollow space where my pride used to be. I pressed down. The message sent, stand by for my call tomorrow. Possible cancellation. I pocketed my phone, looked at my son one more time. He still wasn't looking at me. Still laughing, still choosing. I walked toward the exit. Nobody said goodbye. Nobody noticed. I pushed through the historic doors into Portland's gray afternoon. Keys already in my hand. Behind me, Horatio's voice boomed. Finally, now we can plan without dead weight. The door closed, and I stepped into the rain that had started to fall, fitting somehow. The sky weeping for what I was about to do, or perhaps for what had already been done. My fork scraped against the plate. The sound cut through the noise of 300 people eating overpriced salmon. I sat at table 27 near the back, right where they'd put me on the seating chart. Far enough away that I wouldn't ruin the aesthetic. The ceremony had finished an hour ago. Tobias and Rosalind were married. Official, legal, done. I'd watched from the fourth row, close enough to see, far enough to be forgettable. Now dinner was over. The toasts were starting. Horatio grabbed the microphone. Feedback squealed. Crystal clinked as guests turned. Can can I have everyone's attention? His voice boomed through the speakers. I want to thank everyone who made this spectacular day possible, especially my beautiful wife Bula and myself. Bula leaned into her own microphone. We spared no expense for our daughter's special day. Her eyes found me across the room. Unlike some people, Horatio's eyes followed hers. Tobias, son, come here. He pulled my son close to the microphone. You're getting a real family now. People who understand quality, success. Tobias's voice cracked. Thanks, Horatio. I really appreciate. Not like that father of yours back there. Horatio pointed directly at me. Every head swiveled. Look at him. Ross dressed for less suit. Thinks he belongs here with real people. Rosalind's laugh cut through the silence. Oh, Daddy, stop. But she was recording on her phone. Capturing this, documenting her father's hilarious speech. The room held its breath. Waiting, watching. Let me be clear. Orville, Horatio's voice dropped to mock seriousness. You're not a father. You're garbage. Garbage we tolerate because Tobias has your last name. But don't fool yourself. You didn't build this moment. We did. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered. Tobias stared at his plate. Face red, mouth shut, silent. I stood, my chair scraped loud against the hardwood. Orville, please, someone whispered nearby. I pulled out my phone, dialed Jessica's number, the event coordinator I'd spoken to yesterday. The one who knew the truth? She answered on the first ring. Jessica, I said, my voice carried in the sudden quiet. Activate code red now, confirmed Mr. Bennett. I hung up, pocketed the phone, sat back down. 3 minutes. That's what I'd told her. 3 minutes to shut it all down. Horatio was still talking. Now, as I was saying, real family means ... The lights flickered once, twice. Music died mid-song. Darkness, except for emergency lighting. Red glow from exit signs. Confused murmurs rising. What's happening? Bula's voice pitched high. Why is the music? Rosalind spun around, phone still up. Staff members began removing centerpieces. Quickly, professionally, the coordinator spoke quietly to the DJ. Servers started clearing tables. Excuse me, Horatio grabbed a server's arm. What's going on? Event's been canceled, sir. We're shutting down. Canceled by who? The client, sir. I'm the client. No, sir. The server pulled free gently. You're not. Horatio's Rolex caught the emergency light when he gestured wildly. For something that shiny, you'd think it would have helped him see what was coming. This is ridiculous. Bula grabbed her husband's arm. We paid for this. Actually, Jessica appeared, professional and calm. You didn't. We... What? Bula's voice rose. The payment came from Bennett Productions LLC. Mr. Orville Bennett is the client. He's authorized the shutdown. 300 faces turned. Found me. Stared. Rosalind's phone slipped from her fingers, clattered on the floor. The video probably still recording. Then someone screamed from the back. Actually screamed? An older woman standing, pointing. Oh my, wait, I know that man. That's Orville Bennett, another voice. Male, younger, who? Orville Bennett. He produced Midnight in Manhattan and Crystal Dreams. He's a Broadway producer. He's a millionaire. His phone's lit up. 300 screens glowing in the dimness. Fingers flying, Googling, searching. Orville Bennett, Broadway producer. Net worth, $47 million. Wait, that Orville Bennett? The whispers spread, a wildfire through expensive haircuts and designer dresses. Shock rippling outward from table to table. Horatio's face drained of color. Milk white. Mouth opening and closing. Bula's champagne glass hit the floor at the exact moment the main lights came back up. Perfect timing. If this were one of my shows, I couldn't have staged it better. The glass shattered. Champagne spreading across marble like blood. You, Horatio, started. I paid for everything, I said, quiet. Everyone heard. The venue, the flowers, the food, the band, that photographer you're so worried about, your daughter's dress, the rings, All of it. But you. You said I didn't say anything. You assumed. You took credit? You stood up there and told 300 people I was garbage, that I contributed nothing. Rosalind was on her phone, scrolling frantically. It's true. Oh no, Daddy. It's all true. There are pictures of him at the Tony Awards. I don't understand. Tobias finally spoke. Finally looked at me. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That I was successful? That I had money? I stood again, walked toward the head table. 300 people parted like water. I wanted you to love me for who I was, not what I had. But you chose them. You chose people who insulted me, who called me garbage, who laughed at my suit. I stopped at the head table, looked down at my son. You stood there and let them. I didn't know. You didn't defend me. That's what you knew. Horatio recovered, puffed up. Now wait just a minute. We didn't know about your money. If you just said something, so you only respect people with money? Silence. That's what I thought. I looked at Jessica. She nodded. Mr. Bennett, the venue was cleared for your statement. The lights came back up, full brightness, harsh, casting shadows across 300 shocked faces. Some pitying, some angry, most just confused. Asterisk Tobias stared at me, mouth open like he was seeing a stranger. Maybe he was. I have one thing to say, my voice carried without the microphone. Years of theater training, projection, presence. Marriage is about partnership, trust, standing by each other. I looked at my son today. You showed me you can't do that. You let your in-laws humiliate me. You laughed along. You chose cruelty over love, Dad. I paid for this wedding $127,000. Consider it my final gift. I pulled an envelope from my jacket, set it on the table. Inside is documentation proving everything. The payments, the contracts, all in my name. Horatio lunged for it. I was faster, old, but not dead. This is for Tobias, so he knows the truth. I pushed it toward my son. What you do with that truth is your choice. But this marriage, this party, this ends now. Walked toward the exit. 300 people silent watching. Mr. Bennett, Jessica's voice. Your statement was perfect. Didn't turn around. Kept walking through the converted schoolhouse. Through those historic doors into Portland's evening air behind me. Chaos erupted, voices rising, arguments starting, the Colemans probably scrambling. Tobias probably still staring at that envelope. My phone buzzed. Text message. Oilia, my daughter. I saw the video. Someone posted it already? Are you okay? I texted back. I'm fine. Coming home. Another buzz. Unknown number. This is Marlene Winters. We worked together on Crystal Dreams. I was at the wedding. What you did took courage. Call me. I pocketed the phone. Unlocked my car. A modest sedan. Nothing fancy. I'd never needed fancy. The wedding venue glowed behind me. Lights blazing. People streaming out. Confusion and shock and probably a lot of questions. I started the engine. 30 years ago, I'd held my son up on a bike, made promises, and I'd kept them. Every single one. But some promises are one-sided. Some love isn't returned. I pulled out of the parking lot, drove toward home, toward my daughter, who actually gave a damn, toward whatever came next. The wedding was over. The marriage might not last the week. And somewhere in that converted schoolhouse, my son was opening an envelope and learning the truth. Whatever he chose to do with it would tell me everything I needed to know. 300 phones came out simultaneously. The emergency lighting made everyone look like they were at a seance trying to contact my ghost. Except I was right there. It's very much alive and very much done with their nonsense. Blue glow bathed faces as fingers flew across screens. The whispers started small, then grew. Holy. Look at this. A woman's voice cut through the murmurs. Broadway producer. Midnight in Manhattan grossed $340 million. Net worth, $47 million. $47 million. The whispers became a roar. Phone screens multiplied like fireflies in the dim red exit lighting. Horatio's hand, raised mid-gesture, slowly dropped to his side. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. That's not possible. I finished. Check the public records. I'm on the Lincoln Center donor wall. Bula grabbed her husband's forearm. Her knuckles went white. The champagne glass in her other hand tilted. Liquid sloshed dangerously close to the rim. Rosalind's phone slipped through her fingers, clattered on the table. She didn't pick it up, just stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Orville, listen, Horatio stumbled over his words. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Understanding. I pulled the contract from my jacket, folded neatly. I'd kept it there all night, just in case. This says Orville Bennett. Client, Cascade Celebrations, LLC. My company. $127,000. My money. Bulah's voice came out strangled. We didn't know. You knew exactly what you were saying. You called me garbage. I looked at the 300 faces watching. Every single one. You all heard it. It was a joke. Jokes are supposed to be funny. The wedding cake, a 5-tier monstrosity that probably costs more than most people's cars, chose that moment to topple over. The catering staff were rapidly disassembling display tables. The top tier hit the floor with a splat, white frosting spreading across marble, symbolic. Really, Dad, please. Tobias pushed through the crowd. His face was white, completely drained. I didn't know about any of this. You never told me? I never told you I was wealthy. True, I folded the contract. But you knew they were insulting me. You heard every word. I was trying not to make a scene. Asterisk, you made your choice. I turned toward Jessica. She stood near the door, professional as always. Clear the venue, Dad. Wait, you laughed. Tobias, when Horatio called me garbage, you looked at your plate and stayed silent. That's all I needed to know. His hand reached for my arm. I stepped back. Physical distance matching the emotional gulf. Asterisk, Tobias took one step toward me. Stopped, took a step back, toward the Colemans. Froze in the middle. Couldn't commit either direction. Security guards appeared. Jessica had positioned them beforehand, part of the Code Red protocol. They began forming the corridor toward the exits. Guests pressed around me. Questions flew. Apologies. Someone tried to take my photo. Mr. Bennett, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. Could you comment? Someone yelled. Can I get a selfie? In the middle of the chaos, the audacity was almost impressive. Jessica appeared at my elbow. Your car's out front, Mr. Bennett. Thank you, Jessica. Final payment will transfer Monday, plus your bonus. You don't have to. Execute it perfectly. That's worth rewarding. I walked toward the exit. Straight spine, measured pace, every step deliberate. Behind me, Rosalind's voice. Daddy, do something, Horatio's response. Shut up. Just shut up.
Ow.
The corridor of security guards parted. Cool Portland air hit my face. The valet had my car waiting, engine running. I slid behind the wheel. My hand shook slightly as I turned the key. First sign of emotion breaking through the performance. The venue glowed behind me in my rearview mirror. Lights blazing, people streaming out in confused clusters. Silhouettes against the historic building. My phone rang before I'd even left the parking lot. Oiley's face on the screen. I answered on Bluetooth. Oilia, it's late in Barcelona, Dad. Her voice was tight. Controlled anger. I'm watching your wedding disaster go viral on Twitter. What happened? Your brother chose a side. I saw the video. They called you. Her voice broke. Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm fine. You're not fine. But that's not why I'm calling. Papers rustled in the background. She was in her office, middle of the night, working. They're going to come after you. The Colemans, people like that, don't just accept humiliation. Let them try. Dad, I'm serious. Be careful. Document everything and call Bartholomew in the morning. You think I'll need ... I think you're about to be in a war, and wars require strategy. I pulled into my parking garage in Pearl District. The building was quiet. Warm lights from apartments glowing against the night. Safe, normal, everything the wedding wasn't. I'll call him, I said. Good. And Dad, I love you. Whatever happened with Tobias, you did the right thing. Thanks, sweetheart. We hung up. I sat in the car for a moment, engine ticking as it cooled. The concrete walls of the garage pressing in. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, calls, voicemails piling up like snow. Tobias Rosalind numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it face down on the passenger seat, upstairs. My apartment looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. The vintage Broadway posters on the walls, original prints from shows I'd produced, my collection of playbills organized by decade on built-in shelves. Simple furniture I'd chosen because I liked it, not because it impressed anyone. I poured 2 fingers of scotch. Sat by the window overlooking the city. Downtown Portland spread out below, lights twinkling in the darkness. The phone buzzed again. I picked it up. 47 missed calls. 89 text messages. I started reading them one by one. Message 3 from Beulah. We were just joking. Don't you have a sense of humor? Message 7 from Horatio. This is beyond inappropriate. Call me immediately. Message 15 from Rosalind. You ruined everything. I hope you're proud. Message 23 from Tobias. Dad, please answer. We need to talk. By message 35, I realized Oilia was right. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. Sleep wasn't happening. I gave up trying around midnight. Coffee at 3 a.m. tastes different. Bitter, honest. I sat by the window with my notepad. City lights reflecting in the glass, making plans and crossing them out. The phone kept lighting up, message after message. I read each one, took screenshots of the particularly damaging ones. My expression hardened with each swipe. 3:47 a.m. Tobias. Dad, please answer. We need to talk. 3:52 a.m. Tobias. I know you're awake. Your light is on. How did he... I looked out the window down at the street. A car sat parked across from my building. Someone in the driver's seat. Too dark to see who. For 15 a.m., Rosalind. This is ridiculous. You embarrassed us all. For 23 a.m., Beulah. Orville. We need to discuss this like adults. Beulah sent 14 text messages between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Either she never slept, or she had. Very productive nervous breakdown. I was betting on the breakdown. 4:30 a.m. Horatio. Call me immediately. We can resolve this. 4:45 a.m. Beulah. We were joking. Don't you have a sense of humor? 5:12 a.m. Tobias. Mom would be ashamed of you. I stopped reading at that one. Put the phone down. Picked it back up. Stared at those words. My late wife's name weaponized, used as ammunition. I deleted the message without responding. My mistake was thinking they'd be paralyzed, shamed, apologetic. Instead, within 12 hours, they'd regrouped, crafted a narrative, and launched a counterattack. I'd underestimated their desperation. 6 a.m. early enough to call. I pulled out my old address book, actual paper, leather-bound contacts from 30 years in theater. I dialed Bartholomew Holmes. Bartholomew Holmes. His voice was rough with sleep. Bart, it's Orville Bennett. Silence. Then Orville. Jesus. What time is it? 6 a.m. your time. Sorry. 6 Orville. I haven't heard from you in 10 years? Since you retired from... He paused. Wait, I saw something online last night. Wedding disaster. That was you? That was me. Holy hell. Papers rustled. A lamp clicked on. I heard his wife's muffled complaint. Okay, I'm awake now. What do you need? Legal advice, strategy, and Loretta's number if you still have it. Your old PR manager? Yeah, I've got it. He paused. Orville, what are you planning? Nothing illegal. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be. Called Loretta next. She answered on the first ring, voice clear. Already awake. Saw the video, she said, before I could speak. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you're everywhere. That's what I need to talk about. Come to Bart's office. 2 p.m. I'll be there. She hung up. Always efficient, Loretta. I showered, shaved, put on jeans and a comfortable sweater. Not Ra's dress for less. Just normal. The clothing of someone who had nothing to prove. More messages piled up through the morning. I read them methodically. Documented everything. The threats, the gaslighting, the blame shifting. Each one revealed their strategy more clearly. They weren't apologizing. They were attacking. Asterisk, I thought I'd have a week to plan this carefully. They gave me a night. Bartholomew's office was downtown in one of those historic buildings Portland specialized in. Exposed brick, high ceilings, the smell of old books and coffee. He met me at the door. 65 years old, still sharp, gray hair thinning, but eyes bright. Orville Bennett. He shook my hand, firm grip. You look terrible. Thanks, Bart. Oh, I mean it. When's the last time you slept? Sometime before my son's wedding. Loretta arrived 10 minutes later, tablet in hand, energy radiating off her in waves. She hugged me hard. All right. Bartholomew spread documents across his conference table. Legal pads, printouts, laptop open. I've been reviewing Oregon public records since you called. The Colemans are in deeper than you thought. How deep? $850,000 deep. He slid papers toward me. Property records, mortgage documents, court filings. 3 mortgages, 2 car loans, both leased stone on vehicles they can't afford, credit cards maxed, and get this. Their country club membership lapsed 6 months ago, but they're pretending they're still members. Loretta whistled. That's not financial trouble, that's drowning, which explains, I said slowly, why they were so desperate to land a wealthy son-in-law. Bartholomew nodded. They needed Rosalind to marry money. Tobias was their ticket out, except Tobias doesn't have money. He has me. Had you? Loretta corrected gently. I picked up the mortgage documents. 3 properties, all underwater. The math was brutal and clear, so we sue them? Bartholomew asked. No. I pulled out my old Rolodex. Actual physical cards in a rotating holder? Names and numbers from 30 years in theater. We're not doing this legally, Orville. Nothing illegal, I assured him. Just theatrical. I'm going to do what I do best. Put on a show. Loretta leaned forward. What kind of show? The kind where the villains expose themselves? I flipped through cards, found the one I wanted. I still have contacts at the Oregonian. Entertainment reporters who covered my Broadway days. They love a good fall from grace story. Asterisk, you're going to leak their financial situation? I'm going to provide them with publicly available information and let them draw their own conclusions. Bartholomew frowned. That's not slander if it's true. Exactly. I tapped the card. Mark Preston, investigative journalist. He loves exposing frauds. This is brutal, Loretta said. But she was smiling. I'm in. What's my role? Social media strategy. Make sure the right people see the right information at the right time. She opened her tablet, started typing. The video already has 1.2 million views on TikTok. Someone added the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme when the lights went out. It's trending on Twitter. We can leverage that. I'd never had a show with numbers that good. Asterisk, you're orchestrating this like a production, Bartholomew observed. 3 acts. I agreed. Act 1 just finished. The humiliation. Now comes Act 2, the revelation. Oh, my phone rang. Horatio's name lit the screen. I looked at Bartholomew. Oregon's a one-party consent state for recording, right? It is. I put the phone on speaker, hit record, Orville. Horatio's voice was hard. Controlled rage beneath professional veneer. We need to talk about your little stunt last night. Asterisk, my stunt? That's rich. You humiliated my family. Destroyed my daughter's wedding? You called me garbage? It was a joke. Jokes are supposed to be funny, Horatio. Try again.
Listen to me. His voice dropped to a growl. If you spread any lies about us, any rumors, we will sue you for every penny you have. I laughed, actually laughed. Couldn't help it. Bartholomew and Loretta exchanged glances. Sue me for what, Horatio? Slander. Exactly. Can't slander someone with the truth. And public records are wonderful things. I let that hang. Let him process. Your mortgages, your car leases, your lapsed country club membership, all public information. Silence. Horatio threatened to sue me for every penny I had. I did the math quickly. At $47 million, that would be approximately 4.7 billion pennies. Good luck with that, Horatio. See, that's the thing about living a lie, Horatio. Eventually, someone looks up the truth. You son of a b****. Hung up. Saved the audio file. Evidence for later. Bartholomew gathered his notes. Mark Preston from the Oregonian expects your call tomorrow morning. I already reached out to him. Old contact from a case 5 years ago. Loretta closed her tablet. I'll draft the social media monitoring plan tonight. Track the narrative. Make sure the right people see the right things. She looked at me. And Orville, yes. Whatever you're planning for Act 3, make it worth the ticket price. I drove home as the sun set over Portland, painting the sky orange and red. The city looked beautiful, peaceful, like nothing had changed. Everything had changed. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Tobias. Dad, please, they're saying terrible things about you. Let me come over. Let me explain. I read it twice, 3 times. Saw the genuine confusion beneath the words. The question I hadn't expected. Why didn't you ever tell me? Did you think I only cared about money? Maybe he wasn't entirely mercenary. Maybe he was just weak, easily manipulated, desperate to belong somewhere. Maybe that was worse. I typed back. You had your chance to speak at the wedding. You chose silence. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, I'm sorry. 2 words. Too late. Too little. I stared at those words. Upstairs, my apartment waited. My vintage posters. My simple life. The life I'd chosen. The life they'd mocked. I deleted Tobias's message and opened my notebook instead. Act 2 would begin tomorrow. And unlike my son, I wouldn't stay silent when it mattered. My phone buzzed at 6 a.m. Monday morning. Mark Preston's name on the screen. It's live, he said. Front page of the digital edition. Print version hits doorsteps in an hour. I opened my laptop. There it was. Portland's fake rich, the Coleman family's house of cards. The subheading read, How One Family Built a Lifestyle on Debt, Deception and Desperation. Mark, this is thorough. I know. 3 mortgages on a house they don't own. Lease luxury cars. Counterfeit Cartier. The country club membership that lapsed in January. But they kept showing up anyway. He paused. Public records don't lie. Orville, no. I agreed. They don't. I spent the next hour reading every detail, meticulously documented. Property records showing the West Hills mansion was rented, not owned. DMV registrations revealing both Mercedes were leased, own agreements they were defaulting on. Court filings listing $850,000 in combined debts. Interviews with former business partners describing Horatio's pattern of living beyond his means. The article even included a photograph of Boulah's handbag, the one she'd clutched so protectively at the wedding venue. Mark had found the exact knockoff website where she'd purchased it for $43. The site was called totallyrealdesignerbagsnotfake.com. You can't make this stuff up. By noon, the story had gone viral. Local news picked it up, then regional. By evening, national outlets were running segments. The wedding toast that exposed everything. Loretta called Tuesday afternoon. You need to see this. She sent screenshots. Rosalind's Instagram follower count, 45,234. I refreshed. 42,917. Refreshed again. 39,562. What's happening? The digital forensics guy you hired. He found proof that 68% of her followers are bots. Purchased from a farm in Bangladesh. He's posting receipts on Twitter. Receipts, transaction records, IP addresses, the whole 9 yards. She laughed. She's losing followers faster than water through a sieve. I refreshed the page myself. 33,127 followers. Down from 45,000 yesterday. She built her entire career on a lie, Loretta said, just like her parents. Rosalind posted an Instagram story about fake people and karma. Within an hour, someone replied with receipts showing her followers were literally fake people. Tuesday morning brought my favorite moment. Bula showed up at the country club in her Chanel suit, the one Mark's article had identified as a $40 knockoff. She pulled up to the gates in her rental Mercedes, window down, ready to breeze through. The guard checked his list, shook his head. Other members' cars drove past, their occupants staring. Bula's face turned crimson. She argued, gestured. The guard remained unmoved. Eventually she drove away, tires squealing. Loretta's contact had captured video. We didn't leak it. Didn't need to. Someone else did by Wednesday. Horatio's phone was ringing constantly. Creditors who'd been patient suddenly weren't. Someone, my former Broadway investors who happened to work in banking, had casually mentioned the Coleman situation at a private dinner. Information spread through Portland's financial community like rumors through a theater company. I didn't orchestrate that, just planted seeds. Let them grow. Horatio called me 17 times Wednesday morning. I let every single one go to voicemail. Around call 14 I made popcorn. By 17 I was enjoying myself. Wednesday evening my buzzer rang. I checked the camera. Tobias stood in the lobby, shoulders hunched, face blotchy. I buzzed him up. Dad, please. His voice cracked the moment I opened the door. Let me in. He looked terrible. Unwashed hair, wrinkled shirt, eyes red and swollen like he'd been crying for hours. You destroyed my life, he said, pushing past me inside. The Oregonian article, Rosalind's followers. Her parents are being investigated by creditors. She broke up with me by text. I'm sorry about. No, you're not. He turned on me. You planned this. You're punishing me because I didn't defend you at the wedding. I'm not punishing you. I kept my voice level. Theater training, project.com, even when you don't feel it. I'm just not protecting people who called me garbage anymore. But I didn't call you that. They did. You stood there silent. That was your choice, Tobias. He collapsed onto my couch, head in hands, shoulders shaking. I didn't know what to say. I was scared. They were paying for everything. You thought ... I was wrong. He looked up, face wet with tears. I know that now. My phone pinged. Texts from unknown number. Then I realized Rosalind must have been messaging Tobias before blocking him. He'd forwarded them to me. Your father did this. He ruined my brand. He's hurting because you laughed when... I don't care what he's hurting about. Fix this or we're done. Rosalind, please. Done. Don't contact me again. You're poor now anyway. I showed Tobias the screen. He read it, face crumpling. She never loved me, he whispered. No, I agreed. She didn't. My hand reached toward his shoulder, hovered there. I wanted to comfort him, wanted to pull my son close like I had when he was small and scraped his knee. But I remembered that toast. You're garbage, Tobias, looking at his plate. Silent, I pulled my hand back. You should go, I said quietly. Dad, wait, go, Tobias. He stood, walked to the door, turned back. I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't matter now, but I'm sorry. The door closed behind him. I found the old photo on my bookshelf. Tobias at 6, grinning on that bike. My thumb rubbed across the glass. Then I carefully set it face down and walked back to my laptop. Later that night, Loretta forwarded me another text exchange. She had a source close to the Colemans, a housekeeper who was fed up with not being paid. Horatio to Beulah. This is your fault. You insisted on that toast. Beulah to Horatio. My fault. You're the one who called him garbage. Horatio. Because you said he wasn't contributing. Beulah, we're finished. Horatio. Socially, financially, everything. Beulah, not yet. I found a lawyer. We're fighting back. Asterisk, I stared at that last line. Fighting back. Of course they were. People like the Colemans never just accepted consequences. Thursday morning my phone rang. Bartholomew, we have a problem. I set down my coffee. What kind of problem? The Colemans hired Gerald Wickham. Should that name mean something to me? Shark lawyer. Takes impossible cases. Finds angles nobody else sees. He called me an hour ago. Very polite, very professional. Said he's found something interesting in your past. My stomach dropped. What past? A failed production. 2010. Echoes of Tomorrow. Investors lost money. That show was sabotaged by a competitor. I paid everyone back. Can you prove the sabotage? I went silent. Orville, can you prove it? I'll find a way. The filing papers tomorrow. Fraud allegations. The Oregonians already asking for comment. Bartholomew's voice was tight. This could destroy everything you've built. Your reputation, your credibility, the narrative shifting. Asterisk, I looked out my window at Portland's morning skyline. Somewhere out there, the Colemans were celebrating. They'd found a weapon, and I hadn't seen it coming. They're calling it fraud. Bartholomew dropped legal papers on his desk Thursday afternoon, claiming you misrepresented the production's financial viability, took investors' money, knowing it would fail, then disappeared with the funds. That's not what happened. I know that, but can you prove it? He pointed at the complaint. They have depositions from 2 investors saying they never got their money back. I paid everyone back. Every single investor received a check from what account? Where are the records? The cancelled checks, receipts? He leaned forward. Orville, that was 15 years ago. Do you have documentation? My hands went cold. My stomach turned to ice. That's what I thought. Bartholomew said quietly. I'd been so proud, but paid everyone back quietly. Didn't make a big deal about losing $2 million of my own money. Just wanted to move on. Forget the whole disaster now. It was coming back to destroy me. Loretta's call came an hour later. Have you seen Twitter? I've been avoiding it. Don't you need to see this? She sent links. Headlines everywhere. Broadway mogul's dark past. Failed production. Missing millions. Bennett wedding revenge. Justified or projection. Sources say producer has history of financial irregularities. Orville. Loretta's voice was serious. The narrative's getting away from us fast. People are starting to wonder if maybe the Colemans had a point. This is insane. I paid those investors back with my own money. Then we need to prove it because right now public opinion is shifting. I spent Thursday night pacing my apartment, wearing a path in the carpet between window and desk. My coffee went cold. I made more that went cold, too. Gerald Wickham called himself a shark lawyer. I looked him up online. 3-star Yelp reviews. Apparently, sharks can be mediocre too, but effective enough to find my one vulnerability. My phone rang at 2 a.m. Oilia from Barcelona. Dad, I saw the news. Are you okay? My voice cracked. I don't know how to fight this. They found the one thing I can't easily defend. Because you didn't keep records. Because you were too proud. You paid everyone back quietly. Didn't make a big deal. Just wanted to move on. Now it's coming back to destroy me. Dad, her voice was firm. Do you remember what you told me when my dissertation defense went wrong? When my advisor ambushed me with questions I hadn't prepared for? Or yeah, this ISN single quotes T. You said every play has 3 acts. When Act 2 goes badly, you don't quit. You improvise, regroup, and make Act 3 unforgettable. She paused. This is your act to crisis. What are you going to do for Act 3? I sat up straighter. She was right. I taught her that, believed it, lived it. I'm going to find proof. There you go. How? I know someone who covered that story. Someone who might still have records. Friday morning I pulled out my Rolodex again, flipped through cards until I found it. Fisher, Zechariah, NYT. My fingers shook slightly as I dialed. Zechariah Fisher. The voice was gravelly aged. Zeke, it's Orville Bennett. Long pause. Orville Bennett. Haven't heard that name in a while. I saw your wedding drama online. Spectacular. That's not why I'm calling. No. I heard papers shuffling. Let me guess. It's about Echoes of Tomorrow, 2010. The production that went sideways. You covered it for the Times.
I did.
The biggest Broadway flop of that season. You lost what? $8 million of investor money. And $2 million of my own. And I paid every investor back. Zeke. Every single one from my personal accounts. Can you prove that? That's why I'm calling you. You were there. You interviewed people. You must have notes, documents, something. Orville. That was 15 years ago. Please. The Colemans are using this to destroy me. They're claiming fraud. If I can't prove I paid people back, my reputation is finished. Hold on. More shuffling. I kept archives. Old habit. Never throw anything away. Give me 24 hours. Zeke. If the documentation exists, I'll find it. And Orville, he added, if this story is what I think it is, it might make a hell of an article. Redemption arc. Producer who quietly sacrificed his own fortune to protect investors. That's good copy. Asterisk Zeke said he never throws anything away. His office probably looked like a paper hoarder's paradise. But thank heaven for archivists. They're like squirrels preparing for nuclear winter. Saturday crawled by. Every hour felt like a week. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus. Just waited. Saturday afternoon, my phone rang. Zeke, I've got it. All of it. His voice was excited. Bank records showing you transferred $2.1 million from personal savings to 19 investors. Testimonials from 12 of them confirming receipt. Emails proving Marcus Grimm sabotaged the production. He's dead now, so no libel issues. Union officials admitting they took bribes to strike. The whole story. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in 3 days. When can you publish? Tuesday morning, front page business section. The producer who saved his investors. An untold story of Broadway integrity. It's a hell of a piece, Orville. Makes you look like a hero. I just did what was right. That's what makes it such a good story. I hung up and composed a text. Sent it to Horatio Bueller and Gerald Wickham. I believe we've both made our points. Perhaps it's time for a conversation. Adults negotiating in good faith. Le Pigeon Restaurant. Monday, 7 p.m. Private dining room reserved. Bring your lawyer if you want. Let's end this. Horatio's response came fast. Why should we negotiate? We have you cornered. I smiled. Typed back. Do I have information you might want to hear before this gets uglier? Your choice. But if you don't show, I'll assume you prefer the nuclear option. Gerald Wickham replied. Mr. Bennett, this is Gerald Wickham. I will attend, but understand we're coming from a position of strength. We'll see. Monday, 7 p.m. Don't be late. The Colemans thought they'd found my weakness. They were so excited. They probably popped counterfeit champagne. I would have paid to see that celebration. Sunday afternoon. Zeke called again. Article's done. The editor loves it. Tuesday morning. Front page. What about your meeting Monday night? The Colemans will still think they have the upper hand. Let them think that. I want to see their faces when they realize they've been playing checkers while I've been playing chess. I looked at my reflection in the apartment window. Behind me, vintage Broadway posters lined the walls. Shows I'd produced, gambles I'd taken, dreams I'd made real. The Colemans thought they knew me. I thought they'd found my weakness. They had no idea what was coming. I texted Bartholomew. Meeting is on. Le Pigeon Monday, 7 p.m. Trust me. His response, I hope you know what you're doing. I did. For the first time since Thursday. I absolutely did. This was going to be one hell of a final act. Le Pigeon at 7 p.m. looked exactly like a stage set. Exposed brick walls, candlelight, wine bottles gleaming on dark wood shelves. I arrived early, positioned myself facing the door, controlled the space. Theater directing 101. Horatio entered at 7:05 p.m. Gerald Wickham beside him. Beulah trailing behind. Horatio's confident stride faltered when he saw my slight smile. "Thank you for coming." I gestured to the seats across from me. "Please sit. I've taken the liberty of ordering wine." Horatio remained standing. "We're not here for wine, Bennett. Let's get to business, of course." I smiled. I wanted to discuss ending our conflict. It's gone too far. Hurt too many people. Beulah sat cautiously. "You're willing to drop this? The articles, the social media attacks. I'm willing to consider it. If you're willing to make a genuine public apology for what you said at the wedding, acknowledge you were wrong." Gerald leaned forward. "Mr. Bennett, my clients have already suffered significant reputational damage. They called me garbage in front of 300 people. My voice stayed level. They mocked me, humiliated me while I was literally paying for their daughter's wedding. An apology seems reasonable." Horatio's jaw clenched. "Fine, we apologize. Is that what you want to hear? Publicly. Written statement posted to your social media. Sent to the Oregonian." "This is extortion," Gerald began. "No," I interrupted. "This is accountability. You wanted the public stage. You got it. Now use it to tell the truth, all right?" Horatio's voice was strained. "We'll do the apology. Now, can we end this?" Almost, I pulled another folder from my briefcase. "Just one more small detail." "What detail?" Beulah's voice rose. "I bought your debts." Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Gerald Wickham charged $800 an hour. I watched him check his watch 3 times in 10 minutes. That's $40 worth of watch checking. Money well spent. "Gerald, you what?" Horatio's face went white. "Your mortgages, credit cards, car loans, business debts, all of it. $850,000 worth." I slid the documentation across. "I purchased the debt portfolio through a financial acquisition company last week. I now own your obligations, which makes me your creditor." Gerald snatched the papers, scanning rapidly. His face fell. This is legal. Asterisk, completely legal." I leaned back. "Distressed debt purchases happen every day. Your creditors were eager to unload bad accounts. I got everything for about 30 cents on the dollar. Excellent investment." Beulah's wineglass slipped from her fingers. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth like blood. "You can't," she started. "I can, and I am." I paused. "As your creditor, I can demand immediate full payment, or..." I let that hang. "We can negotiate terms." "What terms?" Horatio's hand shook. "I'll forgive half. 425,000 gone, if you agree to 3 conditions. The public apology, payment for Tobias's therapy, whatever he needs, as long as he needs it. And you never contact my family again, ever. We'll lose our house." Beulah's tears started. "You already lost it. The foreclosure paperwork is filed, just pending final proceedings. I'm actually offering you a way to keep something. Take my deal. You'll owe $425,000. Instead of $850,000 manageable if you downsize. Get real jobs. Stop pretending to be rich." The door to our private room opened. Rosalind walked in, phone in hand. "What are you doing here?" Beulah gasped.
I was invited. Rosalind looked at me. "Wasn't I, Mr. Bennett?" I nodded slowly. We'd been texting since Saturday. She'd reached out offering information. I'd suspected a trap, but Bartholomew had verified her recordings were real. "Rosalind, don't." Horatio stood. "Sit down, Daddy." Her voice was ice. "You're going to want to be sitting for this." She wore heels that probably cost more than I paid for my first car. Except these were actually real, unlike her parents' lifestyle. Some things she got right. She placed her phone on the table, opened a recording app. Dozens of files listed. "I've been recording you two for months. Ever since you started planning Tobias's wedding as your big financial rescue." She looked at me. "Mr. Bennett, you should hear file 17 from March." She pressed play. Horatio's voice filled the room. "We need a backup plan, Beulah. If Bennett doesn't conveniently die soon, we need another angle. I'm thinking we convince Tobias to sue for incompetence. Declare the old man mentally unfit. He's what, 68? We can argue age-related decline, get conservatorship, control the money ourselves." Beulah's voice. "Can we do that?" "I already talked to a lawyer. It's possible. Harder if the parent is competent. But with the right doctor's testimony, the right pressure on Tobias, ... The recording ended. I sat frozen. My hands went cold. My vision narrowed. They'd wanted me dead. Or locked up. Declared incompetent, institutionalized, stripped of everything I'd built. "There are more," Rosalind said quietly. "Hours of them planning how to manipulate Tobias, how to drain your accounts, how to make you look incompetent." She looked at her parents with disgust. "You were going to destroy an innocent man, and you were going to use your own son-in-law to do it." That recording is inadmissible, Gerald started. In court, maybe? I finally found my voice. But not in the court of public opinion. Not with the Oregonian, not with the financial community who needs to know you were planning elder fraud. Please. Beulah reached across the table. You were just talking. You consulted a lawyer about declaring me incompetent. You planned to manipulate my son into betraying me. You weren't joking. You were scheming. I stood. I came here thinking you were just cruel, greedy people. I didn't realize you were criminals. Horatio's voice came out broken. We were desperate. The debts, the pressure. So you decided to destroy me, to steal my life's work, to exploit your own son-in-law. I shook my head. You called me garbage. But at least I know what I am. You've spent so long pretending to be something you're not. You don't even recognize yourselves anymore. I picked up Rosalind's phone. I'll be keeping these recordings. Insurance. You follow my terms. Apology, therapy, payment, no contact, and they stay private. You come after me again, after my family, after my reputation. I met Horatio's eyes. I'll make sure every person you've ever met hears what you really are. Gerald quietly gathered his papers, recognizing a losing battle, preparing his exit. The restaurant was empty except for me. Horatio and Beulah had stumbled out 20 minutes ago, Gerald trailing behind them. Rosalind left too, phone back in her purse. New life ahead of her in Los Angeles. With money I'd wired to help her start over, I sat alone. With the wine I hadn't touched, and the phone containing recordings I wished I'd never heard. The old man doesn't die soon. They wanted me dead. My phone. Buzzed. Bartholomew. Article publishes tomorrow morning. Your reputation will be restored. Well done. Another buzz. Oilia from Barcelona. Dad, are you okay? Rosalind sent me the recordings. Those people are monsters. I'm catching a flight tonight. Started to type back. Don't come. I'm fine. The chest pain started as a tightness, then pressure, then something that felt like a fist squeezing my heart. I reached for my phone, dropped it. Reached again. The restaurant manager found me slumped over the table 2 minutes later, breathing shallow, face gray. The last thing I remember thinking, I won. Why doesn't it feel like winning? Climactic revenge payoff. Mr. Bennett, can you hear me? I opened my eyes. A nurse stood over me, checking monitors. Where? OSU Hospital. You had a cardiac event at Le Pigeon Restaurant Monday night. The manager called 911. You've been here overnight. A cardiac event? I tested the words. That's a polite way of saying heart attack. A mild. Stress-induced angina with minor muscle damage. You're going to be fine, but you need rest. She adjusted my 4. You're lucky. Another 10 minutes and we'd be having a different conversation. I closed my eyes. Lucky. I'd backed 3 people into a corner so tight they'd planned to have me declared incompetent. And my body decided to prove them right. Hospital gowns are designed by sadists, opened in the back, exposing everything. I'd produced shows on Broadway with more dignity than this fabric provided. Does my daughter know? I asked. Olia. She's on a plane from Barcelona. Should be here this afternoon. Asterisk, the heart monitor beeped every time my heart beat. It's like having a metronome for your mortality. Very philosophical, at 3 a.m., she burst through the door at 2 p.m. suitcase abandoned in the hallway. Mascara smudged from crying. Dad. She grabbed my hand. Don't ever do that to me again. Wasn't exactly planned, sweetheart. You had a heart attack chasing revenge. That's not. Her voice broke. You're supposed to be invincible. Nobody's invincible at 68. I squeezed her hand. I'm okay. Minor damage. They're keeping me for observation, minor. Dad, your heart stopped working properly? That's not minor. She wiped her eyes. I read the recordings Rosalind sent. What? They were planning. ... Declaring you incompetent. Getting conservatorship. Ironic, right? They wanted to prove I couldn't handle my affairs. My heart decided to help make their case. This isn't funny. A little bit funny. Tried to smile. Failed. Wednesday afternoon. Tobias appeared at my door. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him. Unshaven, hollow-eyed, 20 pounds of shame weighing down his shoulders. "Dad," his voice cracked. "Can I come in?" "You're already in." He approached the bed slowly like I might detonate.
"I heard about your heart attack."
"I'm so sorry." "Sorry I had a heart attack, or sorry you contributed to the stress that caused it." He flinched. "Both. All of it." "Dad, I didn't know about the conservatorship plan. About them wanting to declare you incompetent. Rosalind sent me the recordings after you collapsed. When I heard what her parents were planning, you stayed silent when they called me garbage." I interrupted. "At the wedding, you stood there and let them destroy me in front of 300 people. I know." Tears ran down his face. I was weak, scared. They were paying for everything. I thought. They weren't paying for anything. I was. And you knew I deserved better than silence. You're right. Collapsed into the chair beside my bed. I've been thinking about nothing else for a week. I was so worried about impressing them, about fitting into Rosalind's world. I forgot who actually loved me, who actually sacrificed for me. He looked up. I left her. Left the apartment we shared. I'm staying at a hotel until I find a place. She dumped you first. Yes, she did. Because without money, I'm worthless to her. He laughed bitterly. Funny how that works. I studied my son. Saw the boy I'd taught to ride a bike. Saw the man who'd betrayed me. Saw someone in between trying to find his way back. My hand reached toward his shoulder, hovered, pulled back. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight, Tobias. I know. I hurt you deeply, and an apology doesn't erase that. I know that too. But you shifted in the hospital bed. If you want to prove you've changed, if you want to show me you're capable of being the man I raised you to be, there's something you can do. Asterisk anything. He leaned forward. Dad, I'll do anything. Help me finish this. The Colemans destroyed our family. Used you, planned to steal everything I built. There's one more act to this play and I need help staging it. What kind of help? I'm organizing a public event. Saturday, Pioneer Courthouse Square. I've contacted 50 people the Colemans victimized over the years. Contractors they didn't pay. Partners they defrauded. Investors they scammed. They're all coming to tell their stories publicly. Press will be there. It'll be the final nail in the Colemans' reputation. Tobias paled. That's brutal, Dad. They were planning to have me institutionalized. Brutal is relative. I met his eyes. I need you to help coordinate, make calls, verify people are coming, handle logistics. Show me you can stand up and do the hard thing instead of staying silent. He swallowed hard. If I do this, there's no going back with Rosalind. Her parents will never forgive. There's already no going back. She dumped you, remember? The question is, are you with your family, or are you still trying to please people who called your father garbage? He was quiet for a long moment. Then tell me what you need me to do. Asterisk Saturday morning. My apartment looked like a production office. Papers everywhere. Phones charging. Tobias on laptop coordinating final details. 53 confirmed attendees, he reported, plus media. The Oregonian, 2 Portland TV stations, and some independent journalists. Good. I swallowed my afternoon heart medication. Doctor's orders. Dad, are you sure about this? Your heart will be fine. You don't know that. I know I need to finish what I started. I pulled on my jacket, the same one I'd worn to the wedding, the one Rosalind mocked as Ross dress for less. Seemed appropriate. Asterisk, my phone buzzed. Loretta. No. Coleman's just arrived at the square. They looked terrified. Another buzz. Oelia. Ha. I'm already there. Front row, ready to watch you work, Dad.